Morning guys, this is Rick. I hope you're having a great day. Alright, in today's video we're going to be doing a little bit more of pottering and tinkering on the van. Okay, so this is the old cushion that I had in the old design of camper van. This was the cushion and the bed along with the backrest here. And I'm going to attempt today to cut it down to fit the new seat box. So I'm going to sort of butcher it slightly. What I'm thinking is obviously cutting it down to the right size. This will be the driver's end, which won't be that visible. So what I was going to do was go into the back of it, cut through the foam and then fold this material over. Now I'm not clever enough to put these frilly edges or anything on it. But I should be able to fold it over and then possibly hand stitch around so that it becomes the right size I need it, and then with absolute minimal disruption to how it looks. I'm also looking to recolor it. I haven't got the equipment here today, but I've been looking into painting furniture. Apparently there's a way to do it. And there are certain dyes out there now which you can get, which you literally paint on and it will completely change upholstery, and it's perfectly fine. It doesn't come off on your clothes or anything. So, right, what I've got to do now is determine at which point I'm going to cut it. I could use my electric carving knife again as well, couldn't I? But at some point I'm going to have to make a slice in the base here. And what if I can, I'll only slice the base, get in there, cut the foam, and then use, obviously I'm going to have to trim down the remainder, but I need to trim some flaps and another flap like that so that I can just stitch it all together. I'm going to have to hand stitch it, but hopefully it won't be a bad job. We'll see. But it was either that or have them custom made, and we're looking at hundreds and hundreds of pounds to have them custom made. So I'm gonna see if I can, like I say, trim this one down. I really don't know what I'm doing, but I'll give it a go. I'll give it a shot. So I need to get in there with the carving knife, slice through the foam, and and hopefully it's just going to be like wrapping up a Christmas present, where you've got the two side pieces you wrap down, and then you've got the top bit that you bring down. So just a case of cutting off enough excess that will cover the distance, I think. Seems almost sacrilege cutting this thing up, but needs must. There we go. So we've got a cushion the right size, so all I've got to do is essentially just fold that over, make a neat little corner, fold it over somehow. I'm gonna have to work on this. Right then, so I'm not going to be making upholsterer of the year anytime soon. But as far as sort of haberdashery amputations go, it's not too bad. I've got a few loose threads there. But ultimately this is going to be tucked out of the way anyway, so you're not going to see it. The only part you're going to see is the front bit, so that's absolutely fine. And this is, oh hello, I've just noticed it's coming unstitched there. I'll have to do something about that. But this is fine. I think I've basically just hand stitched it all the way along here, sort of cutting as I go, and folded it over like little hospital corners in the sides there. But yeah, perfectly happy with that. And as I say, it's not going to be on display anyway. It's going to be tucked away. The driver's seat's going to be right here. So all good stuff. Right, so I'm just going to go and test fit this, make sure it fits, and then I've got to do exactly the same for this one, which is just, it's a shame that one's just that little bit too long. but never mind. There we go, perfect. And you know what? I'm going to say it out loud. That colour actually almost goes quite well with the interior of the van. You've got the greys and the brown, the very slight suggestion of browns, but it's mostly greys. And you've got the same thing going on there. You know what? I think I might just leave that colour. Be interested in hearing your views on this. What do you think of this colour in this setting? I think it goes rather well. The dye that I ordered is like just a dark grey, but I could actually get away with this colour, you know. I don't know, maybe I'm being a bit, what's the word? I can't think of the word, but yeah, be interested in your opinions on this colour in this van. I'm thinking it goes, when you combine it with the floor, and the greys and the browns, it's kind of, it doesn't look too out of place. Good morning. Okay, it's the next day. I did a lot of pottering around yesterday, got a few bits and bobs done, but not a huge amount. But I got that cushion done, and last night I got this second cushion done, the back piece. That looks perfectly acceptable. It just so happened to be on one of these little stitchy bits right on the end, so it looks a little bit neater. And again, I just literally just stitched it all up by hand and did like these little hospital corners on it, and that's as good as I think I can get it. As I say, I'm not going to be making upholsterer of the year, but this is absolutely adequate, and to be honest, most of this is out of sight anyway. So all good stuff. I've also had a little sort out of my tool bag. This used to live in the seat box under the front passenger seat. Well, I'm trying to empty out the stuff in the seat box under the front passenger seat, because obviously at some point I'm going to be fitting a single passenger seat with, and I'm going to lose that storage. So I've transferred all the essential bits that I generally need from day to day over to this little toolbox here, which will actually fit under the main seat box. I found a little space where it will go, so that's all good. And then what I'm going to do for anything extra, so I will be keeping this with me, but that will go in the garage. Anything that I'm not using day to day in the van will go in some sort of a tote in the garage, and that's always been the intention. So the idea is, on my last few vans, I had everything stuffed in there. So I would have a massive stack of tea towels, a massive stack of towels, loads of like waterproofs, and just like the van was generally filled up with stuff in case I might need it. And the problem with that is it took up all of the storage space, and for the most part, 99.9% of the time, I didn't need sort of half of it. So what I've done, I've actually stripped the van right out again. All of the bits and bobs that were in the van, they've all come out now, because I need access to the backs of all the cupboards and everything, because I'm going to be doing the electrics today. But when I put stuff back in, I'm going to be really careful about what I put into all the little cubby holes. I'm only going to put like bare essentials, and then anything I want to sort of take along just in case, like I say, will be going in some sort of a tote like this, and that'll be stored in the garage, because I've got plenty of storage space in the garage. So that's, like I say, that's always been the intention. But today I'm going to be doing, now the stuff's arrived, I'm going to be doing the electrics for both the mains hookup and for the big battery bank that I've got. Now I had to determine where the battery bank is going to go, and I think it will remain in the passenger footwell. Essentially, it only ever comes with me when I'm going camping, and there is no other place that I can put it, because I need access to it all the time. I've got to be able to switch it on and off. I mean, I could put it inside the garage area for storage, but if I want to use it, I've actually got to go in and switch it on. And at the moment I don't actually have any garage access from inside the living space, so it makes sense for me to keep it in the passenger footwell, because it's out of the way as well. It's tucked away quite nicely, it lives quite happily under there, and it's very easily accessible. So what I've got to do do is run a plug from the front passenger footwell area to where the coffee machine is going to go and where the microwave is going to go. Now, location of the microwave is easy, that's already been sorted out, but location of the coffee machine is another thing I've got to figure out today. Now, I was pondering the idea of a shelf. This was actually a suggestion by some of you guys to actually have a shelf up by the side of the kitchen. So I'm going to look into that possibility today, although the more I think about it, the more I'm cooling off of that idea. Because what I would need to do, if it was going to go on a shelf, I'd have to have somewhere to put the plug. So I would possibly have to wire it in permanently. Drill a tiny little hole to feed the wire through and then have the plug socket on the other side, because I can't have the plug socket on the kitchen side because of all the I've got the cooker and everything there. So anyway, let's pop out into the van, have a little ponder, see where we can get this coffee machine. I'll take the coffee machine out there with me and make a determination, but I've got a feeling it will still remain on the countertop. Anyway, let's go and have a look. So here we are in the van. My biggest priority is to sort out this, find out exactly where I can put this. I was thinking possibly about a shelf up here, but alas, it's just not going to work. It's just going to be too much. Obviously I've got to get it high enough to clear the lid here, but also I've got to allow for the water tank at the back, which is going to make this end stick out, and it's also a little bit sort of too uncomfortably close to the cooker here. So although it was a nice idea, I'm not going to follow up on that. And also I would need to find a home for the lead, which would mean cutting the plug off, drilling the hole in the back and pushing the lead through and having the plug socket on the other side, which means it would be permanently here. I wouldn't be able to move it because obviously I'd have to take the plug off each time, because there's no way I'm going to have a massive great big hole in the side there just so that a plug will fit through. So although it's a nice idea, unfortunately I don't think it's going to work. So that leaves us with pretty much the only place, which is here. I've also got a piece of hardboard to go on the back. I'll try to get that on today. And also, when I was talking about splashback in a previous video, what didn't come across well was the actual amount of bulge I've got going on here. It looked actually quite flat in the video, but if you look at it from this angle, hopefully you can see that there's a bulge of about possibly 1.5 inches. This stands 1.5 inches further out than this does. So if I had a splashback that went all the way along the kitchen unit, the splashback would sort of come out in a sort of triangle fashion here, and it just wouldn't look right. So I think I'm just going to go for a splashback that just goes up to the edge of this. I can get away with that, I think. Anyway, I'll mess about with splashbacks in a while, but I need to find a final resting place for the coffee machine because I've got to determine where I'm going to put the plug. So the most sensible thing, I think, is to just have it there. It's only there when I'm camping, and then when I'm not camping I can pack it up and put it back in the house where I use it. So I will need a plug socket within reach of this plug, and I'm just thinking, actually, I wonder if I just get these cushions out of the way for a second. I'm thinking if I can find a space in there, a plug socket in there would be useful, although I would have to be able to feed the plug down. That's going to be a little bit awkward, but not impossible. Let me do this with two hands. Back in a second. No, that's not going to work. Although I've got the plug down there, it's only just there, and it's just going to be far too awkward to get this thing manoeuvred around the structure under there to get it into a plug socket. So I'm going to have to look elsewhere. Okay, all done. Well, almost all done. In the end, I decided to put the socket there, and obviously I've got one there as well for the microwave, and those two are connected together. They run through the back of the box to this lead, which will spend most of its life coiled up behind the driver's seat there. But when I get a plug on that, that will reach to the front passenger footwell where the battery will be. So I'm just going to pop a plug on it, and I'm going to go and get the battery and pop it in there and just make sure it all works. Right, I was going to bring the big battery out to try, but I forgot I've got the little soiree, haven't I? So I'm going to test this out on the little soiree. I've got the plug on it now. But before I do anything, I'm just going to use this plug tester just to make sure it's all good. So if I turn on the thing, I should get a green light. There we go, 50 hertz, got a green light. That's exactly what's supposed to happen. So if I plug this in, turn it on, are you going to turn on? There we go, 50 hertz. Right, so we're on, and then we'll go and try out these plug sockets. So first of all, we'll do the microwave. Let me grab a light so you can see what's going on. Pop that in there. Green light. Yes, green light, perfect. So that's good. And again, we'll test out these two here. Oops, plug in the right way around, Rick. So there we go, green light, and that should be the same. Green light, perfect. So I know, or at least the theory is, they should be absolutely fine. So there we go, job done. That's one of the several jobs I've got to do. I have to say one thing though, it was a real pain putting those plugs in, because I had to sort of kneel down and bend in all sorts of strange positions just to sort of be able to get the get the wires in the right place so I could sort of do the little screws up and everything. That is one of the drawbacks. I seem to remember having this problem with the last van build, is whenever you're putting in electrics, you kind of have to really contort your body to sort of get into a position where you can actually work on the whatever it is you got to do, and the wiring is the worst. Right, so now we've got the main electrics in, I've got to do the electrics, which are in here. I just moved the little loo out the way to the back doors there, but let's just pull these out. This is the gas bottle. Now this wire is actually connected to the RCD unit, so I've got to find a home for some plug sockets which come from the outside. So that's next on the agenda. Where would be a good place if I am on mains hookup on a campsite? Where would be a good place to put some sockets? There's not a lot of things in the van that I need 240 volts for. Like I say, the only thing I generally use that's 240 volts is the microwave and the coffee machine. And if I was at a mains hookup place, then I suppose, oh, okay, right, no, okay, so if I was at a mains hookup site, I would want to plug this in, which is the lead to the coffee machine and the microwave. I would want to plug this in to a plug socket. So in which case it would make sense to have a plug socket somewhere down here. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna put my 240 volt plug sockets inside the seat, so that way they're out of the way 99.9% of the time I use them, and if I do need to plug anything in, I can do it, and I can easily get a plug in through here, and it just means whatever it is I've got plugged in will just have a little, it'll just peer out from underneath the seat cushion. That works for me. I think I'm going to go with that. Okay, got a few extra lights plumbed in. So we got the main lights that you've already seen before. I've got one really bright light above the kitchen, so that's available on a switch. It's permanently installed, but I can turn it on and off. It's just there if I need it. And I've got more of a warmer white for above the bed here. Ideally I wanted to put this one actually up on the ceiling, but this light is just that little bit too long, so I've had to put it there. so I might get a little, maybe a little shield over it, so I'm only getting the reflected light rather than sort of that right in my face. I'll see how I get on with it. Yeah, these wires came in handy. I was able to rig it up like across from the main thing here, and this looks like spaghetti junction. It's mad, but I've got these little blocks of wood and these little bits up here, and what I can do is push all that up there, and then put these like little shelves in like that, and it holds it all up there, which is ideal, because if ever I need to get to this, I can just take these little shelves out and it all comes down again and it's available. Another new thing I'm using are these things. They are fantastic. These are the new style cable joiners. Well, I don't know how new they are, but they're new to me. These are like little cable joiners, and they make absolutely such light work of joining cables together. Really glad I got those, because they have made my life so much easier. And even joining the light up here, I knew I was going to have a bit of a nightmare trying to join wires together, but I've got these single blocks and they work beautifully. So all I've got to do now is just kind of wrap these up, get a couple of cable ties and just get these tucked out of the way. But at a later date I may actually just get rid of them all together. But for now I'm just going to live with the van, go on a few trips, see how I get on with it, see what extra bits I need, see if I need to plumb in any more electrics or anything. Now at some point I'm gonna have to put some USB sockets in, because I use USB all the time, and it's just a question of deciding where. I mean, I have got a couple of sockets up here that are available, but if I'm using those overnight to charge things, this blue light is going to keep me awake. So I need to install, I've got one of these which I want to install with USB sockets, but it's just a question of putting them, or finding a place to put them. I wonder, there's not a bad idea, because up there out of the way, and oh, actually that's not a bad idea, although obviously I've got to take into account the amount of space I've got behind there. And I can plug things in and just sit them in there while they're charging. That's not a bad idea, I think. I shall ponder further before I start drilling holes. On further thought, I'm not going to put them there, simply because if they may be flush, but if I've got things plugged in, they're going to be sticking out and I'm going to be brushing past, and it's just not going to end well. So I'm going to leave them for now, but at a later date I'm going to be revisiting this whole segment here. I'm going to be putting in some sort of a thing a little bit like this, but I'm not going to do that till the spring or the summer. But I have got electrics up here, so I could rig something up then, and I would have a place to charge things, like a little shelf or something. So I'm not going to put those in for now. I will come back and revisit at a later time. Right, time for a splashback fitting. I've basically got this sheet of hardboard which is covered in this white stuff, although I have got some self-adhesive tiles that I'm intending to put onto it. But what it has done is highlighted my terrible craftsmanship. Look at that big triangle shape there, bit of a gap. Never mind, I can sort that out. And this is just a little bit too high here, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to measure it out. In fact, I think before I do anything I'll get the height measured out on it, and to be honest, it hasn't got to be a massive splashback. It can be I don't know, it doesn't need to be that high. It needs to be about, I don't know, I'm guessing that high. So I'm going to run with that. It doesn't have to be, this is not an exact science. There's no actual reason for it to be this massive. What I'm going to do, I'm going to chop that down, and I will do that with a Stanley knife rather than with any kind of cutting machinery. Because it's going to make a load of mess, but the Stanley knife will cut through hardboard no problem. So I'll cut that and I'll come back and then we'll make a decision on the length. Alright, there we go. That's good enough, that's fine. I did have a screw there that went all the way through. This hardboard is brilliant stuff. It just cuts so easily just with a knife. But as you can see, there's a huge lip there. So I think I was right just to go to that position there. I'm just looking at that, wondering if it's a bit too tall. But I've got these tiles to stick on, which I think are going to tone it down because obviously it's quite bright as it is at the moment. So I'm going to slap these tiles on and see if that makes it a little bit more subtle. There we go. That's really quite nice. I quite like that. That's just these little plastic tiles. Strange things. They're sort of semi-rigid, but they make a great splashback. Although they were a little bit tricky to put on. I actually put the first one on upside down. I had to take it off because they've got these cutouts on one side, but then they've actually got this paper backing on the other, which is sticky, on which these sit. But I actually got it the wrong way around the first time, but never mind, that's all good. So very happy with that. That's another item ticked off my list. There we go, just made up a little bit on the side as well. Just I had a couple of spare tiles, so it just goes around the corner a little bit. And it looks fine, very happy with that. So I just need to go back to my list. Splashback, oh yeah, and the fridge door card, that was the other thing. Let me go and get a sheet of this and some scissors, and obviously I've got to pull this off as well. So let's see if we can make that work. There we go, that's the fridge front done, and that looks pretty good. I'm quite chuffed with that. Okay, so this is the underside now. I've got a light, or a set of lights in here now, and I've managed to find a home for the breaker bar for the wheels, a spare wheel hub. Managed to put a few pockets up so I can store a few bits away, and it's all looking pretty neat under here. Also got a switch for the fridge, so that I can isolate the fridge if I need to. I did end up making a second fuse box, but there are only 2 connections to it. So this is a main feed from the main fuse box, and then it just goes into this little fuse box, which just distributes off to the fridge and to the lights, and then obviously if I want to add anything later on I can, but it's all much more simple than it was before. So yeah, this is pretty cozy, and like I say, for the most part anything that I want to store in here will be in totes. I'll put some like non-stick or non-slip bottoms on the totes, and then I can slide them ideally underneath there, so like all the tools and things that live under the driver's seat, they can now go in a tote under there, just to be kept out of the way. So they're there when I need them, which is, you know, sort of never. But yeah, this is the garage, and it's kind of cool and cozy. So this is what it looks like all lit up, although these lights will go off in a second. But very happy with how things are going. I'm surprised actually how quickly I'm getting through my little list of tasks to do, which is absolutely excellent, because obviously the more I can get done, the more I can declare it finished. I have still emptied everything out. Now I can start putting things back again, because I'm not going to do any more electrics for now. They're all pretty much covered. I've got everything I need for the most part, but obviously living in the van will tell me if I need other things. So I've got to find homes now for the more domestic stuff. So I've got the kettle and some bowls and a mug, and I'm trying to determine where is the best place to put them. I'm thinking this cupboard will be in constant use, because it's just at the right height. I can see everything at a glance, so it'll be like for tins of food or whatever. And then the lower down cupboards, they can be more longer term stuff, and I'm thinking cutlery and stuff can probably go in the bottom one, because that's probably the safest one, because it's got the deepest recess in there. But before I can do anything, I've got to get some non-slip mats on there just to stop things slipping around. This stuff's amazing, this non-slip stuff. I use it for everything in the van. It just stops things slipping around. Oh yeah, also got my little thing up. So the temperature is currently 6 degrees. It's 3:30, so we're going to start running out of light anytime soon. But I'm really quite chuffed with how this has all turned out. Like with the fridge as well, that's really good. I'm just waiting on some material now so I can get those curtains done. And that's something I can do at my leisure of an evening in the dark. That's no problem. But also I've just got to change the front passenger seat for the swivel seat. That's the next big job, and I'm going to set aside a day for that because I may need to improvise some bits. I'm not sure yet. I'm hoping it'll be a straightforward swap, but it all depends on the van computer whether it puts a light on the dashboard when I plug in the new pre-tensioner. But I'll cross that bridge, but I want a full day for that so that I can properly get that done. And if I have enough time, I'll put the swivel base onto the driver's seat as well, and then that will be basically my living area. So instead of relying on a big sofa, which I did before, my living space will be this area, which will be like the seat here and the driver's seat and the passenger seat both turned round. That's going to be quite a nice big living space, as well as the food preparation space and a bed. So I've got everything I need, and I'm very, very pleased about it. Right, anyway, I'm waffling on, so I'm going to sign off for this video. I don't know how long it has been. It may have been several days bolted together actually in this one. But I'm going to leave this for now, and the next video will no doubt be me doing more on the van. Or something else. We'll have to wait and see. So even I don't know. But anyway, that's it for this video. So thank you for watching. Have a great rest of the day, and I will see you in the next video. Until then, take care.